Well, hello, hello, Young and the Restless Daily Recap fans. Today's daily recap is for Tuesday, October the 1st, and Wednesday, October the 2nd. Let's talk about this. We have not too much of anything going on. Jack and Billy talk, and of course, Billy's hostile to Jack. This is on Tuesday. Oh, you never support me, blah, blah, blah. Victor's upset at Victoria for going to Billy Boy, but she ends up, Victoria being Victoria, saying, "Look, you taught me, you taught me family comes first. I'm doing this for my family," and I would think you would understand that. So, and he's like, "Well, don't you don't go against my wishes." She goes, "Are you talking about removing me from Newman Enterprises because I'm going to put my family first?" He just looked at her. See, she backed him down. So they ended up kissing each other goodbye at outside society and, saying, "Love you, love you, love you, my darling." Because he's like, "Yeah, I guess you are like me." So Billy texts Victoria to meet him. And they meet and he's talking about, she goes, "I hope you're going to take me up on my offer." And he's like, "Nope, but you are right. I feel we need to put our kids first because look, the kids are now looking at not going back to boarding school, staying in Genoa City. Um, but they need to have a heads up. They will see something online and we need to head that off. So they're going to talk to the kids. I don't know how they're going to tell them, who cares? But let's face it, Billy ain't going to have that company too long. Kyle, no, Audra and Nate bask in the afterglow. Kyle comes in and he's all smug because Audra told Nate she got an appointment uh, and she cut a deal with this big, huge company. And it's somebody that Kyle, I think it's a retailer, that Kyle would had been prospecting, but she undercut him. So Kyle comes into GCAC all smug and he's saying, she goes, "What are you doing here?" Because she was expecting the client to meet her there. So she was telling Nate that he needed to kind of skedaddle, right? So she could get her game face on. Kyle comes in saying, "Oh, listen, I just had a great meeting." And she's like, "Really?" Like, she goes, "What are you doing here?" He says, "Oh, I'm here after my meeting. I'm going to get me some breakfast." And she looks at him like she didn't want him there. He goes, "I just had a great meeting." And he named the company that she had poached from him. And she said, "You did what?" He goes, "Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh, my camera's blurry. Come on, camera. Oh, yeah, yeah. And I closed the deal." And she goes, "How could you do that?" He goes, he was my prospect first. You tried to poach him from me." And so she goes, "Well, I have a great idea, for a product for this customer." He goes, "Oh, don't worry about that. I canceled production on your samples." And she goes, "How could you do?" He goes, "Oh, very easily. You tried to steal my deal. I did what I needed to do to squash you." And Nate, at this point, Audra asked Nate to leave to go because she wanted to talk to Kyle. And Claire was meeting Kyle there. So Nate and Claire were at the bar. And Kyle says, Audra, you think that you just got me beat. You don't." And so she goes, "You know what, Kyle? You are nowhere near as ruthless as I am. And I'm going to show you." Yeah, okay, whatever. So, needless to say, Kyle and Claire talk. Non-consequential, nothing really good at all. Um, that was it for Tuesday. We have now today. Nick takes Sharon to her doctor's appointment. Sharon's just playing everybody, right? Talking all perky, still seeing Cameron, and had a session with her doctor. And oh, it just felt so good to talk to someone about how I have been feeling. Now, Daniel is wondering what's going on. Heather is just unlike her to do this, right? And he's telling Summer and Phyllis, he goes, maybe she's left me again. And they're like, no, I don't think Heather, no, Daniel. You guys looked like you were doing well. Were you doing well? He goes, yeah, well, even last night, she kissed and I mean, we kissed and she said we're good. And he goes, I just don't understand this. So um, he calls Paul, and Paul said at that point he hadn't heard. No, he left a voicemail for Paul. And Phyllis says, look, let's continue this conversation. He goes, I could call Heather. And they're like, no, no, leave it alone. Leave it alone. And she says, okay, but look, let's have breakfast. So Summer says, I have to get to work. Because see, Sharon and Nick came into Crimson. And Sharon's just looking at him on the patio. See the same eerie, you know, make your skin crawl look. And Daniel's just looking at her like, see, I think she has something to do with this, you know? And so Phyllis says, I'll meet you at GCAC. So, or was it? No, they met at Society. I think they met at Society. No, it was GCAC. It was the athletic club. So they're having a breakfast and they're talking again. And Paul calls Daniel while Phyllis was doing something. And he goes, well, I heard from Paul. He says, and Paul says that Heather texted him and saying she just needed a few days and everything's okay. So Phyllis says, see, there you have it. He goes, okay, okay, I'll just lay low. So by the time their little breakfast finishes or is underway, Daniel gets a phone call from the GCAC saying they found Heather's body. And Daniel's like, well, that can't be right. He's on the phone because that can't be right. I'll be right there. So Phyllis says, what can't be right? He goes, that was the GCPD, not GCAC, that's the athletic club. GCPD saying that they have Heather's body. It was washed up in a river. Some fishermen found it. So Phyllis is like, oh no, no, that sure can't be right. I'm going with you. And he goes, no, mom, I need to do this for myself. I need to do this for myself. So Daniel goes to the morgue, and sure enough, Heather's definitely dead. But I did see something on, I think it was Soap and Death. Yeah, they killed her character. She was actually shocked when she got the news a couple of months ago, because this was shot a couple months ago, that they were going to kill off her character. She's been on and off this show for decades, and she was surprised, right? But she handled it gracefully. So anyway, I also read, which will make some sense to me, we just don't know who. I got a feeling I know that Sharon's not the one that killed Heather. For some reason, they did show uh, us her kind of blacking out, right? Somebody else did it, and my guess is this: before Daniel took Lucy to the movies, he probably swung by the place so she could get a sweater or something. And I think Lucy may have done it because no one else hated Heather. No one else. And I'm not saying Lucy hated Heather, but remember, she had animosity to towards her mother. She felt her mother was trying to keep her and Faith apart. And Heather is the one that wanted the family to move out of town. And Lucy was adamant against it. I think it's Lucy because did you notice, She was a little attitude-ish after her community service eating the ice cream. But when they came in the house from the movies, she was like, oh, just giddy, laughy. Thank you, Dad. This is the best. You're the best, Dad. Oh, I think it's her. I honestly believe Lucy did it. So we'll see. We'll see if that prediction of mine just happens to come true. So let's go to comment corner. Comment corner. Let's see. We have Lachelle just says, I'm so disappointed with Sharon. She went there with intent. I bet she left something behind. She's smart enough. She's so smart enough to wear gloves. Doesn't own Genoa City. She needs an Emmy award, but I'm over this storyline. Where's the cameras at? I know in this whole building there's no cameras. In Devon's a nice upscale building. Claire says, I'm hoping Sharon was just hallucinating all of this. I read Sharon Case is not leaving the show, the soap, nor the lady who plays Heather. Yep, she sure is. The writers are keeping their lips sealed. I know Sharon had some issues in the past, but she needs to be committed quick, fast, and in a hurry to get some help. I'm not a fan of the storyline, neither am I. If all of this really happened, I believe Sharon is not the killer for sure, and someone else murdered Heather. The question is who? I'm with you on that, Claire. And then Lynn says, hi. Hi, Lynn. And Brooklyn says, oh, daily recap lady, you had me with everything you said. It was hilarious and entertaining. You're my favorite. Glad you're back. Well, thank you so much, Brooklyn. Um, this was the most snoozing storyline with Sharon. Instead of having Sharon as a powerful businesswoman, I know, taking chances and taking Victor down with a quickness. Greatest recap. And then we have, let's see, greatest review. And then Brooklyn says, you're absolutely right, daily recap lady. I say, yeah, Sharon's imaginary rope appeared. I know that was crazy. Annette says, well, said beautiful grandmother, the whole Sharon was uncalled for. And then Lisa says, I don't think Heather is dead. This is a dream. I think Sharon got into a car accident, and maybe she slipped and fell into a coma and is having a vivid dream. It doesn't help that she's not on her medication. I think during November sweeps, maybe then uh, her subconscious gets caught. She will wake up and she'll apologize to Daniel, Heather, and Lucy. Well, that's not going to happen. And then we have Anita. Anita says, hi, daily recap lady. Really dislike Sharon's storyline. I'm hoping it's Sharon's Hallucinations, a dream sequel. The writers have scripted a terrible storyline, in my opinion. It should get interesting because it is so far out there that it has to be imaginary. Very weird. You know what? I don't know what is going to happen with that. And then we have Denzel. Hey, daily recaps. I apologize for not coming on the YouTube. Sad face. Comments and Zoom. I had to work a double shift yesterday. My aunt wasn't feeling so good, so I took care of her. But definitely next time, if you do another soaps chat uh, here on YouTube, I definitely will join and send you an email. All right, Denzel, I look forward to that. But other than that, I was shocked that Sharon killed Heather, um, though it was an accident. I still can't believe it all. Heather had to do all she had to do was wait until Sharon left, or either um, call the cops, and Chance would come, or even just call Nick. But she didn't even do that, and it cost her her life. She wasn't my character. I don't like her, but I didn't want the character to die. Now Sharon is going to tell her daughters and Nick she killed Heather. I knew Sharon wasn't going to tell them nothing. I knew that. Um, when Daniel and Lucy find out, they're going to want revenge on Sharon, including Phyllis, and Sharon may end up in prison for this, including Phyllis. And Sharon may end up, yeah. It won't look good at all. Sharon should have been getting some help and went to therapy for her bipolar. Her grief of the death of her daughter Cassie, um, other than that, Sharon Case is killing this role as Sharon. No, the writers are killing this role as Sharon. The bipolar and the late great Cassie that died in the car accident storyline is killing it. She definitely needs to win an Emmy next year. Great review, daily recaps as always. You know, I guess I don't know if her performance was Emmy worthy at all, but some people are saying that. So yeah, okay, we shall see, right? We'll see. Chelsea's storyline with the suicide attempt to me was better. And even the Connor storyline. The Sharon storyline to me is just far fetched and out there. All right, everybody, that is it. That's it for Comic Corner and the daily recap. I'll probably be back on this weekend to do the last, 3 days of this week. So I will see you all then.